All right, let's talk about something that hits close to home for a lot of us, the architecture of survival. This is for anyone who has ever felt like they were just scattered or maybe even broken by their past. We're going to reframe that. Because what you built to get through it all, that wasn't a flaw. It was a masterpiece.
Let's start right here. I want you to really take this in because this is the foundation for everything else. What you went through matters. And how you adapted, that wasn't weakness, not even close. It was your intelligence, your own mind desperately trying to keep you safe. You see, when you grow up in an environment where you just can't predict what's coming next emotionally, your nervous system learns one core lesson. It becomes this incredible strategist, and its main takeaway is this: the world is unpredictable, and I have to stay alert to survive. This isn't just a negative outlook, it's a smart conclusion based on the actual data you were living through.
And this is why there's often this huge gap between how we feel and what was really happening. You might feel broken or like your mind is all over the place, that you can't focus. But the truth, that feeling was the side effect of a brilliant adaptation. Your mind had to be scattered because it was constantly scanning, staying alert, looking for what was coming next. It was doing its job.
So let's just say it as plainly as possible, because this really changes everything. You were not broken. You were adapting, brilliantly I might add, to a situation that was pretty much impossible.
So how does this happen? Well, it's actually incredibly logical. Step 1, the present moment doesn't feel safe. Step 2, the future feels just as threatening. Step 3, you can't physically leave. So, what's a mind to do? It does something amazing. It builds a safe place on the inside, a refuge that no one can touch.
And this distinction is so important. People might look at that and call it avoidance or escapism, but we have to reframe that. This wasn't avoidance. This was self-protection. It was creating the safety you needed when no one else was providing it.
Okay, and this is where it gets really incredible. Because these things you did to survive, they didn't just disappear. They became this powerful, unique toolkit of skills. So let's actually look at these traits not as scars, but as the strengths they truly are.
First up, that inner refuge. You learned way before most people do that peace doesn't have to come from the outside world. You learned how to find your own quiet, your own meaning, even when everything around you was chaotic. People spend years in meditation trying to develop that skill. You learned it out of necessity.
Next up, a sensitivity to emotional truth. This is basically a superpower. When you have to read the emotional temperature of a room to stay safe, you get really good at it. You can sense tension the moment it walks in. You can hear the truth in someone's tone of voice. And yeah, it gives you a very low tolerance for hypocrisy. You can spot it a mile away.
And underneath all that sensitivity, there was this one driving question. Your mind wasn't just trying to be comfortable, it was on a search for what was real. You were constantly asking, what is actually happening here? That's the kind of question that builds deep, authentic people.
And let's talk about self-reliance. This one's kind of a double-edged sword, right? When you learn early on that you can't always depend on others emotionally, you build this incredible resilience and independence. But the flip side is that asking for help can feel, almost impossible. It's so important to see that both things are true.
This is such a profound idea. Think about it. Long before you had the words or the power to say no or stop, your mind learned how to do it for you. That feeling of disassociating, of checking out, that was your system learning a crucial rule. I can step back when something is harmful. It was an unconscious but powerful boundary.
And as you got older, that internal boundary started to become an external filter. So when you find you have a really low tolerance for disrespect, that's not you being bitter. That's not you being cynical. That's earned discernment. You learned what harm feels like, and now you refuse to pretend it's okay.
Now, we have to be honest here. We have to acknowledge that all these incredible gains came with a cost. That resilience might have been paid for with a scattered focus, a mind that's always on high alert. That deep empathy might be connected to a sense of safety that always feels just out of reach. And that inner refuge, as protective as it is, can sometimes lead to pulling away from others. It is so important to see both sides of the ledger. The gains are real, and so are the costs.
And this really is the balance of it all. Recognizing the pain doesn't erase the incredible growth you achieved. And celebrating your strength doesn't mean you have to ignore the hurt.
They both get to exist. Pain doesn't cancel growth, and growth doesn't cancel pain.
But it is so critical to understand what this experience did not mean. It did not mean you're destined to be detached forever, and it absolutely did not prove that connection is always unsafe. Those were survival strategies. They were brilliant, they were necessary, but they were not a life sentence.
Which brings us to this huge, powerful shift. Back then, you were using survival strategies out of instinct. Now, with this awareness, you get to make conscious choices. You can pick up those same amazing tools, your sensitivity, your resilience, your discernment, but now you get to use them with intention.
Let's just sit with that for a moment. It's such a quiet, powerful truth. You learned how to survive without being protected. You figured out how to create safety for yourself when the world wasn't doing it for you. That is an incredible testament to who you are.
So, that leads us to the final question, the next part of the journey. The architecture of survival is built. It's strong. You got the skills. The new question is, how do you build an architecture for living? How do you learn to be fully present, using all that wisdom you earned along the way? That's the next great adventure. Thanks for exploring this with me.